Ariel, so good to have you on here.
Hello.
We've been chatting about having you on because we met, I don't know, the other week at the Zebulon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were drunk, not me. I would never get drunk in public and keep on taking shots in Tecate. I would never do that.
I helped administer, so I think it was a fair shared uh interaction.
I would never do such a thing. Drink like a bunch of tequila and Tecates. That I would never do that. Not me.
There there was a few on the tab.
There were quite a bit, but it wasn't for me though. I wasn't doing it. I would never do that. Not me. I don't drink. But yeah, I was stoked that you were there, and then we set this up then
Yeah.
when I was of sober mind.
Yeah, it's funny because you did the first time I heard about you was Annabelle Traillegs, my friend Lindsay, and I that was my first one I listened to. And then I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like this guy. He's a good podcaster." And then
I appreciate you saying that. I will pay you later on for that
okay.
for that testimony. Thank you.
Sounds good. And then my friend from a San Diego band called Toon Wave sent me like a link to your podcast. Like I swear, like a week later, he was like, "You should do this podcast." And then I ran into you like a week later, so it was kind of funny
Well, thank you, Toonwave, for shouting me out.
doing it.
I'm doing it, but now we're doing it. Now you're helping me
We're
with
doing
it.
it.
Even though I'm sweating in this chair right now. Do you see the how much I'm sweating?
Do you have a an AC in there?
I do, but it ain't on. Anyway, we're already doing this. I got the fan going, but that's not helping. But
We're
I don't know.
entering the times. I'm about to have to bust out my AC as well. I'm feeling the heat come in.
The heat is on. As I said that, there was a bead of sweat that dripped down my mouth. But yeah, it really is. It really is on. But yeah, that's that California heat. It'll get you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
cracked my leather seats.
But you're not from California, right? You're from Texas originally.
Yeah, I'm from Texas, so I know all about the heats.
You know it. You're there. You're living in it. You're accustomed to it.
Born in the heat.
When did you get into music?
I started playing music like my second year of college. I was like 20, 19, 20. Uh I started playing guitar, but I had been writing poetry my whole life. But I didn't realize that I was actually writing songs because I didn't play music yet. But I remember I would like be writing down, uh, I guess what would be lyrics. But as soon as you write down the lyrics on paper, and if you don't know how to read or write notations, I don't know, it just becomes a poem. So yeah,
Already a skilled lyricist moving into music.
they were pretty bad, honestly. There's a box somewhere in my parents' house, and there's some little snippets, and it's all pretty bad.
And we will get a hold of that box and we will be putting him in post.
Somebody might.
Mhm. Do you think if you went through that box that it'd be as bad as you think it is now?
Oh yeah, like um I can remember one of the first I can remember one of the first things that's in there, and it's like I'm walking out the door, don't want to see your face no more, no more fights, no more fuss, because it's over between us.
It's like
Like
Bukowski. It's like, yeah,
it's fucking bad.
I hear some Bukowski in there. Yeah, very nice. So you're writing poetry. What kind of gravitated you to becoming like, okay, I want to start writing some stuff on the and pick up the guitar.
Well, I moved to this college town in Texas called Denton, which was like my first experience like going to house shows. Um, in Fort Worth, where I was like born and raised, it was like there's a lot of scene, like emo scene, hardcore, like a scene, and I was in it. Like would go to all those shows, but for some reason, I didn't really like get inspired to like make music. I was just a show attendee, but when I moved to Denton and like started seeing like bands that were more psychedelic or more like garage rock. There was a lot of folk in Americana at the time too, but it kind of just opened up this like whole world that was really inspiring. And I didn't know that there was a bunch of hippies living 30 minutes away from freaking Saginaw, Texas, which is like right by Cowtown, whole different vibe. And I went through really like like one of my first like breakups where the dude cheated on me the whole time, and my friend that was playing guitar for like 3 years at the time was like, we were staying up late, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to like practice? You want to learn some guitar chords?" Uh, and so I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we were all like cracked out on like coffee and wine and cigarettes, like like all the mixing of the things. And she taught me a beach house song on guitar, and I was like, I don't know, like something happened and I was just like, oh shit, like this is cool. And I took it and ran with it and like got really inspired, and kind of all of the things that I had been like writing down and all the ideas I had kind of started like creating like, I don't know, like a missing piece of the puzzle. I was like, oh, like I'm a musician too. And my brother tried in like 6th grade to teach me a few things on guitar, but it didn't really stick then. Like I didn't really like have that kind of epiphany moment where I was like, yeah, like let's do this.
Do you remember what song it was by Beach House?
Saltwater, which is like a pretty slow one.
Leave it to Beach House to be
I
inspiring.
know.
If only your brother would have shown you Beach House, then maybe it would have stuck, perhaps.
Well, I mean, I still can remember the like 3 or 4 things he taught me, which was Green Day, the didn't didn't wait, or my face is numb on my own. Here we go. Like I learned that one, and then Smoke on the Water, of course.
By Green
Uh,
Day, yeah. B side
yep,
of
they
Green Day.
made that one too.
Hmm.
James Bond theme song, and then like a Toadies riff. But as soon as he uh wanted to teach me like chords, it hurt my fingers, and I was like out. I was like, no. But I would like secretly go in his room and pick up the guitar like when my parents weren't home and like try to like make stuff, but it was like just like a few notes, but I never really like picked it up or anything until the beach house
Until
came
Beach
along.
House came around. Yeah, of
It
course.
saved the day.
Classic, classic Beach House. Saving people. Um, Now, did you immediately you're like, yeah, that this is what I need to be doing at this moment?
Yeah, I was pissed off at dudes, and it all just kind of like, I don't know, happened. The girl, her name's Julia, she wanted to start a band, and so we tried to start a band after, uh but it didn't really happen. But I like I kept with playing the instrument, and then I got really obsessed with I felt like since I hadn't, all of my other friends in Denton had been playing since they were like in middle school, and I felt really behind. So I felt like, oh, I need to know how to play all the instruments. So I got a bass. I started teaching myself bass, and then I got a microKORG. Started making things on the microKORG, and then I started like trying to record myself like multi parts, and I did it in a really uh like I didn't know that there was like a platform that you could like multi-track on the computer yet. So I was like plugging my cell phone, like recording myself on my cell phone, plugging it into the speaker system, and then recording me playing over the cell phone with a different loop with my computer audio, and then playing the computer audio out loud in the speakers and like recording over that. It was a mess, but I like just kind of taught myself that way how to like multi-track, I guess.
You want it live. That's the thing. You want to
Yeah,
track it and also play it live at the same time. You're bundling them together. That's innovative.
yeah. I was working with what I had. I didn't know shit.
What does your brother think of your music career now? Is he like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that she finally picked it up. She's finally playing Green Day songs, or
I think he's definitely proud. He's really supportive, and yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of a shock to him and my parents because I mean, growing up, we had a practice space in our house. He had a Toadies and what's the other fucking band? I can't think of it right now. Why can't I think of it? It was a Toadies cover band uh with some other band of that nature. And they called themselves, well, he had one band called Absence of Humanity, and then he had another band, blah blah blah. But
good name of a
I forgot
band.
where I was going with
Good.
this. It was a
What do
shock
you,
to my parents
yeah.
because I never like played music in the house. And I think when I like showed him my first like demo, I was like, hey, like I've been working on this. He was like, wow, like that's you singing? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I'm jealous. And yeah, so he's cool. Maybe we can collab one day, Eli. That's my brother's name.
No, I know he listens. He comments on all the videos on YouTube. So
Yeah.
shout out to Eli. I mean, great guy. Very supportive of me as well. I mean, your music, yes, but he's a big supporter of this podcast. So
He's a good brother.
at what point did you start thinking, okay, I gotta start singing with learning all these instruments and your
Um,
tactics of recording?
I so like I did secretly like sing. Like I did do choir like 1 year in like fifth grade. So I like had a little bit of experience like singing, but it was like for oops, my AirPod fell out. It was just for like one summer, or like one season. But I would secretly like I would be alone in the morning. Like my parents both went to work and I would like uh get myself to school by like riding the bus. So I remember in the mornings before school and like after school when I was home alone, I'd try to like sing and I just thought I sounded really bad. But then when I learned like the guitar and the instruments, then I like started, practicing more and I think it helped me like figure out where my voice lied, uh, which was very falsetto at the time and probably now still. But yeah, it kind of just all started like as soon as I picked up the guitar like that day. I don't know what happened, but I just started really like finding my voice and uh, finding like a sound, and uh, I'm still trying to find a sound still, but it's always evolving. But yeah, I still don't know what I'm doing. Like a song comes out of the blue, and you're like, oh, like okay, there you are. And sometimes a song comes and you're like, I don't really know if I want anyone to hear that one, but it exists.
It's out there. Here it is. Eli gets it, of course, first, and he looks it over, and then it
Yeah.
proceeds to the public view. Gotcha. I understand. Now, at what point does Pearl Earl start making its way into your life?
Um, well, I always wrote like bedroom recordings and stuff, so I view Pearl Earl as my like from the time I started writing. I didn't name myself Pearl Earl yet, but that's like how I kind of viewed the project. I started playing in a band called Mink Coats. I was doing like keys and lead guitar, and uh, I wasn't a
Producing it,
writer,
recording it, of course. I mean, with your tactics, they brought you
managing
in.
it.
Sure,
No, we
sure.
we didn't get too far, but I wasn't a writer for that, so I was kind of like holding on to this like arsenal of songs, and secretly was trying to find like I don't know why I always just wanted like a girl band. I just had in mind. I was like, I just want a band of girls. And then so I had these songs I was hanging on to, and then one night Bailey, my drummer, came in. Like we'd been like around the same circle. We both have like ex-boyfriends that are like mutual friends. Seems to be the common theme with a lot of us women. And we had a jam night one night, and Stephanie, who is rolling in from, is it, I don't know, it's not Amarillo, it's Abilene Christian School, got it. She had
Proud
rolled in.
sponsor of this podcast, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. This is a college podcast now.
It is. And I went to UNT, in case, yeah, you're wondering.
Former sponsor of this. Anyways.
But she escaped Christian school and wound up in Denton, and then like the night one night we were all hanging out and we were all drunk. Bailey had a jam space in her garage, and we all went back there and like, just jammed it. It wasn't like, I don't remember anything like other than we were just jamming, and then I was like, these girls are cool. And then I had a vibe that I was like, maybe these are the girls I should ask to like do this project. And then I asked, and Bailey and I got together first to like go over what I'd been writing, and then once we got solid with her on drums and me on guitar, I was like, okay, Steph, like you don't play bass, you play guitar, but like we can just figure it out. And that's what we did.
And here you are.
Yeah. And now we've got a whole slew of us.
Good deal. What year are we talking about roughly?
This was 2014, almost 10 years ago.
Oh, does it feel like 10 years?
No, I mean, I don't know. It's a weird time. Sometimes it does, and then sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday. Like I can still remember how hard those hangovers hurt. Like from our first like jam, our first like practices was just us getting so drunk and just like having a ball.
That's the way to practice. You gotta get drunk
Yeah,
first. Yeah. That's how you become professional. You go, can
jam
I can
drunk.
I play drunk? Where the name come from? Pearl Earl.
So my name is Ariel, and if you slur my name in the South or under, the influence of alcohol, it's Earl. Earl. And somebody gave me that nickname probably the first year of college. And then around the time that I was in mink coats, I had another friend start calling me Early. So a lot of like people would just call me Earl, or Steve would call me Early. And then I didn't know what to name the band or project that I'd been working on. And that also kind of came together too. Like I had just started practicing with Bailey, and I went to Lake Tahoe like a week after, and I was like out in Lake Tahoe on vacation trying to figure out, okay, well, what is this project called? And I knew I wanted to do something with Earl, and I was on a mountain uh, in the Rockies, and I was like, Pearl, and because I like the way that like the rainbow kind of luminescence, there's a pearlescence of the pearl, like visually I like that kind of white rainbow visual, and so I just attached it to Earl, and it
Love it.
rhymed,
Yeah. Sounds
and
good.
it's a tongue twister for myself.
It's good. It's a solid name.
Thank you.
I'll co-sign the name. I like it. Yeah. And
Okay.
I know you're worried about like, oh, is he gonna like it or not? Yeah, I do. Did you kind of know what you wanted the band to feel like and sound like when you first started it, or was it kind of open to interpretation?
I definitely had a vision. I was listening to a lot of like Brian Jonestown Massacre. I think Tim Paula was fucking, hitting the States then. And I discovered like Pond right after that. And then I mean, we don't sound like Beach House, but Beach House was, really cool.
Oh, it's
Chill.
interesting. I would have never thought that you and Beach House would
Yeah.
have a connection. I
Yeah, that one.
would never thought think about that.
And then of course growing up on like the classic rock, like Pink Floyd was one of the big ones when you first start smoking weed and you're like, yeah, like I want a band that makes you feel kind of high. I don't know. So I definitely kind of always imagined I wanted a groovy, like kind of psychedelic rock influenced band of females.
And you got that.
And I got it.
So this is roughly 2014 that this is getting together. How did you break into the scene? Did you play at the places that you were going to attending shows and just like, hey, let's start playing there? Or did you kind of play wherever you could?
Yeah, it was really honestly, Denton is a really great town for any kind of musician starting out because it's a small town, but it's a town obsessed with music and there's a jazz school there, so there's a lot of really great musicians. So when we first started, I mean, it wasn't hard at all getting a show, um, because people here they're like, "Oh, you started a new band? Oh, you want to play at J&J's Pizza, which is this underground pizza basement? Uh, you want to play there on in 3 weeks?" And that's exactly what happened to us. Is we had our first uh, we had our first couple of practices, and we were excited, and we had like a party, and at the end of the night, we like showed a few people like the songs that we were working on, and then we had our show booked like right after that, and then played our first show. I think it was September 11th, um, 2014, and at the J&J's, and then we played that show, and then they wanted us back, and then we got thrown on house shows because house shows were really big, and then the word got out, and then Dallas started hitting us up to play, and it just kind of just like all happened really quickly. And then we went on our first tour like that within like 6 months. We didn't know anybody on the West Coast, but we booked a tour and played out there, and yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. Within the first 6 months,
maybe okay, maybe no, yeah, maybe like 6 to 8 months.
still
If
though.
it, I don't know time or like monthly, but our first show was September 11th, and in on around I think May 2nd was our first show in Austin, and starting our month-long West Coast tour. So it happened like less than a year
Wow,
after forming.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Did you feel like, all right, let's just do it? Were you ready for it? You know, like,
yeah,
let's get out there.
I was really ready. I was like, this is what I've been, wanting to do for like 3 years. I've been hanging out in my room by myself. Well, I mean, I was in the other band, but it was a little different, and that band is no longer. I loved being in that band too. But when I finally got my own project and then it all started happening, it was like all of the things that I envisioned for myself started happening, and it was like we just like hit the ground running, and it was really fun.
Man, that's amazing. How did that tour go?
It was good. I mean, there I don't think any of this like there were some shows that were like really good. Specifically Olympia, Washington, because it was like a house show, and some old homies from Denton lived there, and they made sure it was like a really like good show. But I think our first LA show was at the Silver Lake Lounge, and I think we played like a weird matinee because it was like still light outside. It was like 6 o'clock. So there was like 5 people there. Um, and then a lot of the shows were, we didn't know anyone, so they weren't well attended, but we were so like I'd never been to the West Coast, so I was just more enamored with like being on this month long like road trip, and we camped a lot, camped in the redwoods, so it was really magical. Uh, you couldn't see out of the right side of the van though because we did a Dodge Caravan, and the keyboardist at the time, his massive keyboard just blocked the whole right side of the van. So like we couldn't see like that side. So we had some really tight spots
You don't even
to
need
sit
that
in.
side though.
Couldn't see the Golden Hills.
Okay, that's a bummer. But everything else though, I mean,
It
turning,
was great.
merging, it's fine. Yeah, it's all right. It'll all work
Yeah,
out.
it was totally safe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't need to see all of the blind spots.
No, 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 no. Just let them be. Let them be what they are. And you got mirrors for a reason, right?
The musical spirit Holy Ghost was on our side.
There you go. And how long was the tour? A month?
Yeah,
A
and it
month.
was cool because it was started in Austin, and it was like Austin Psych Fest. So I actually went down there because it was like also my birthday weekend, and got to see like a lot of awesome bands, and then it was like my turn to go on a tour. It was cool.
Yeah. Wow. Did you feel like you really got a sense of what the band was, even kind of expanding out from what you were normally doing and getting going to the coast and finding like different receptions outside of Texas? Did that inform like how people reacted to the music?
Yeah, for sure. It was really like refreshing to be like, okay, like it's not just our friends that, like us. Like we do like, belong in like certain music scenes, and we met a lot of friends that we're still friends with till this day, and you know, the band connections have just continued since.
You come out to California once, meet everybody. That's
Yeah.
how it works. Yeah, you'll stumble across people that you need to find.
Yeah, honestly it's a lot smaller of a world than it appears. And I
Definitely.
think music really bridges that gap, like the music community, for me at least.
Right. What was the duration of going on that tour and then eventually moving out to California?
Like 8 years. So, and it so Bailey and I, when we started the band, I think she was like wanting to move out of Denton. She like knew she wanted to get out of there. And so she was like, when we do this band, we should just do it as hard as we can. And then I'm probably moving to California. And then I was like, well, I want to go too. And then on that tour, I think we stayed in like Long Beach, the first entering of uh, like this area, uh, Southern California.
Right, because
It,
you came in through the through boat, right? You went around and then came through the coast. You
yeah, it was a
came through the
boat
port.
tour.
Yeah, you came to the port of Long Beach, and then that's how you entered through. You didn't come
Yeah,
down, right? Okay, got it.
yeah.
You
Um,
parked the van on the and went around and then came in, right? Kind
we
kind
we
of
took
kind of an odd way to come in, but yeah, you could have just
yeah
drove,
we went through the Gulf of Mexico.
which was cool, right? Like those show, I've heard stories about those shows, and they were pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that love it. Got to see, the dolphins are down there.
sure,
Can't
sure.
really see them because the water is so brown, but
Plus it was on the right side of the van, which was being on the boat, so that was kind of difficult to see them through the
yeah,
blind spot, right?
yeah, you're
Besides
right.
that, though,
But yeah, the boat tour was great.
sure, sure. I bet.
Um, yeah, no, I forgot what I was
No, you
saying
guys
now.
are staying in Long Beach for that
Oh
was like the
yeah,
first taste of LA.
yeah. And we were both like Yeah, we gotta move here, and then I think like our goal was always to move to LA, and then um like 4 years ago, Bailey actually did like right before the pandemic, like September of 2019. I was supposed to come too, but I had some like financial stuff happen, and then my boyfriend wanted to leave and go back to his hometown, so which is Minneapolis, St. Paul area. So, and I was like really set on like getting out of Denton because I've never lived anywhere. And I followed him too. And I was like, I'll try out this like Midwestern style for a little bit. And yeah, I'm glad I did. It's really cool up there. It's a lot different than I thought it was. And yeah. And then I moved here in November of December of 2021. So it took me like eight years to get out here from the time that we said that we would, but I got here.
And you're going back to Minnesota soon, right?
Um, no, I mean to visit, but I don't think I would live there permanently again. And it's just because it's just so cold. Like I can't do it.
I mean, we went over this. We got to be in
Yeah,
that warmer climate.
we already know. We
Yeah,
already know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
need the sun. But I mean, if you're raising a family and doing the whole like raise the family thing, it's a really great state to do that because you get all the seasons, can cuddle up inside by the cozy fire and play cards in your basement. I mean, there's much more to
No,
it.
only cards in the basement. Sure.
Yeah, that's what they do. No,
Okay.
it's amazingly beautiful out there. Hiking, boats, more boats, lots of lakes.
Which is
Um,
your favorite mode of transportation is the boat.
I'm a boat girl.
Aren't we all? I don't even remember the last time I was on a boat, to be honest with you.
Really?
To be perfectly honest. Yeah, I can't even remember. What was the last time you were on a boat?
I was on a boat in March.
Oh,
We actually did take a boat with the van to a different city. I forgot what city, but it was in the Gulf. Um, we left out of Galveston, and we were going to New Orleans, and our friends in India Tigers in Texas were like, y'all should ride the ferry. And so we rode the ferry over to a town that cuts out the traffic on the way to New Orleans. And it was freaking awesome. We like, we're like on the boat with our van and everything in tow, and there's dolphins and birds, and I don't know, it was cool.
when you moved out here, did you feel like that was going to change how the trajectory of the music was going to go?
Yeah, I mean it definitely changed, but it's kind of always been changing. Um, I can say like I've met a lot of people out here that has that have helped, with different opportunities. And then like before I moved out here, I was already flying out here. So it was kind of this like gradual like change, like transition, even becoming uh like being based out of here because I recorded in like I recorded here with Thomas Dolos, and so I was flying back and forth a lot.
Mr. Elevator, I mean
Mhm.
Thomas,
He's
fantastic.
amazing.
So you
Yeah.
were still in Texas when you were doing that? You would
I was in St. Paul. I'd escape uh the cold, come out and record every like few months, and then I felt like that got me ready to be like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna move out to LA. And then we finished all of the like music video stuff and artwork stuff like out here, like all of the, stuff you gotta do to release the record besides making the record. And yeah. And then now we have some touring members that live out here, so we can play out here, but we're still like kind of a hybrid where like all the original like girls are still, with us, but they can't exactly fly out every time we want to play with together. So uh we've got, some girls out here to play with. And yeah.
So during that brief time separation, when you were still or when you were in Minnesota, there was no like, oh, we're gonna pause this.
But no, so well, Bailey lived out here, and like so me and her are both out here, and then Steph and Chelsea, bassist, keyboardist, they live out in Texas, and even when I was living in St. Paul, like I was working on the songs for the new record, and I would send the like compositions of like what I made on GarageBand, which was like keys, guitar, bass. Uh, Sometimes I'll put like a drum track down, like on just like an old drum machine, just so I can like have a tempo and like be able to like lock things to a grid or whatever. Um, so it's not shitty and out of time. And I'll send it to Bailey, and then we kind of worked. Bailey and I would kind of work on like she'd come up with like her drum part, and then like before whenever we got that all situated, I would send the new songs over to like Steph and Chelsea and be like, this is, the blueprint of the song. And then we got into the studio, and then breathed, some different like life and different parts into it too.
How much did it change from that process of like you working on it and sending it out to everybody else to what the final product was? Was it a massive change, or was it just touched up a bit where it needed to be touched up?
Just touched up a bit, honestly. The thing that changed the most was surprisingly like uh so we multi-tracked, like we've only ever recorded live and then overdubbed after. So this was our first time taking things like laying down drums first, then laying down this and laying down that. So Bailey had to, play with, like, I was playing along to her, but the whole band wasn't there. Me and her actually were the only ones that laid down the first like tracking. And so that was a little difficult, but the thing that changed the most is Thomas had some like ideas for, different drum parts and tempo. So some of the songs he would be like, you should try this like really slow, or you should try this faster, or what if you did this kind of fill here, or what if you like completely like, tried a different approach. And that was really cool and also very stressful because you're just like in the crunch seat and you gotta like, hit it right. And then yeah,
Thomas is sitting there and he wants it.
yeah, he wants it. Yeah, he's a harmony master. He was really good at coming up with like different harmony ideas that I had never thought of. And there was a take that took me like over an hour to wrap my head around. But we did it, and it sounds good. I'm happy that it's there.
Now, was this for the Evil Does It 7 inch? Was that what was being worked on at that time?
So the Evil Does It 7 inch is basically just two singles off of the full length record that's coming out on June 22nd called It's Dread. So he recorded the whole album with us. And this was for the harmony part I'm talking about, which probably sounds really simple to everybody else. And they're like, wow, that's so easy. How could you not do that so quick? Was on Damage Control, which is our like latest single that came out.
Good deal. And if anybody does feel that way, keep it to yourselves, all right? Because it took an hour, and appreciate that hour.
Probably more. I couldn't. It
Even
was not.
more,
It was
even
hard
more
for
than an
me.
hour. Do you think that these barriers that you have to overcome is needed within music to create like a good song or a good album or even a good
Yeah,
7 inch?
absolutely. It's really cool when you relinquish control, because I do have some like control issues as a songwriter where if like I don't want the part to be changed, but when you let somebody else be like, well, I hear this, and then you try it out, it actually, can inspire. It inspires the song and it breathes new life into it for you to enjoy too. And then it also just helps you be a better musician. It's helped me be a better musician, and it's fun to have different ideas bounce back at you.
What tends to inspire your songs?
Um, Probably mental breakdowns.
All right, yeah.
Wow, a lot of mental breakdowns.
Hmm. In Beach House,
Yeah,
mental breakdowns in Beach House.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Did
Nah, yeah.
maybe that's an idea for an album title? I'm just saying, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Well, the so It's Dread was actually, I was going to name it Miss Milky Way's Mental Breakdown. But the name was too long, and I decided against it. So I simplified it because It's Dread also gets that feeling of cross.
Yeah. What when did you stumble across the word like dread? Like, oh, we should it's dread. Where did that? How did you stumble across that as the substitute?
Um, so it's a lyric in the title track. It's like, oh, like one of the main lyrics of that song is "Oh no, it's dread," and it's kind of talking about like the feeling of existential crisis that I was feeling a lot like during the times of like the summer of 2020 in particular. And I feel like that sense of dread is also correlated with the feeling of, having like a mental breakdown. Um, so those kind of like those two song titles kind of like, there's a lot of themes in the new record that have elements of, dread and darkness. But it's not a depressing album. I mean, I don't think it's depressing, but maybe you do, but I don't
See,
know. Somebody might.
somebody might, but it's not.
No, it's not. I think I like contrast, like the music itself. I don't think if you weren't paying attention to the lyrics, you would maybe think that it's happy and everything's great. But if you actually like, read the lyrics and the material, it's not a happy subject.
Great, that's awesome. No, no, that's an interesting contrast though, which is good. It's good. Not everything's
Yeah,
happy go lucky. It's not you're not on a boat every day. Shit happens.
yeah. Maybe the next one will be uh the happy one.
Was the first one a happy one? The karaoke superstar.
Uh that was our EP, our first EP ever. I want to say that it's always been a blend of dark and happy. Like, just it's always kind of been songs that sound like they're fun, feel good songs, but then there's some like an underlying evil layer, always slightly evil under there.
Subtext.
Yeah,
Evil undertones.
yeah.
All right.
Like I love a little bit of evil.
I mean, evil does it.
I do.
Where did the idea to put up the 7 inch before this album come from?
Well, so we were working with Mark from Greenwich, and he'd offered, we've been talking since before the pandemic about putting out um putting out a record with him and Wax Mage, and he had mentioned that we can do 7 inches, and we kind of knew that this record wouldn't be released. I mean, at this point, we started recording it 2 years ago. For me, some of the songs are older than 5 years, 6 years old, um, and maybe even older. But like I was just antsy to get material out because we hadn't put out anything since 2019. So we thought it was like a good idea just to give like a little taste of what was coming and then include it in the big picture, this summer.
Hmm. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Do you see a big difference between what you're doing with Karaoke Superstar and now with this new album?
Yeah, for sure. Those are, like, the first songs I ever made, was Karaoke Superstar. In Karaoke Superstar, the song itself was actually, like, a joke song that I never intended to, you know, put out, uh, and then I showed Bailey or someone, and they're like, "No, we have to do that, that's really good," and I was like, "Okay." Uh, so those songs were, like, things that I first thought of, and I think with, the new record, like, we did, and I did some more process of elimination, like, there's a lot of songs that didn't go on the record that weren't chosen to go on there, so I think it's more crafted and it's the most, probably developed of the skills that I have to to this day.
Good deal. I like it.
Yeah,
I like the answer, Ariel. It's a good answer.
thank
Um,
you.
do you feel like once its dread comes out that you'll feel like, all right, it's time to start anew. It's time to start with a blank slate.
Yes, I am really fucking ready to do that. I honestly feel like I am dreading like, I'm just so ready to get this record out there because 'cause I've been sitting on it for so long, and it's mentally blocked me from being able to move on to the next chapter, even though, like, I have worked on some stuff, but ever since I moved to LA, like, I've been kind of doing the grind of working and, kind of more operating on a different level, like, I haven't been able to, like, be comfortable and sit down and actually, like, produce or record any music, so I'm just, like, ready, and I think it's because I know that you have to give it your all to, like, put something out, and it's been hard, like, especially, like, during the pandemic times, like, when this was all being birthed, so I'm just ready to get it out there, and then I think I'll be, ready to freaking make some more shit.
Do you think that the even people who aren't don't know this backstory that you've been sitting on some of these things, these ideas for these songs for about 5 years? Do you think that that'll come across when they listen to it? Like, oh, this has been hashed out and worked out for quite a bit.
Um, for some people, like, they might recognize, a song in particular, maybe another one, because we did play them live, before, we all moved, we were playing them, but they didn't change any on the recording, um, but even, like, from the concept of those, like, getting those songs to the band sometimes takes, like, a year, like, just because we don't have time to, like, sit down and practice and learn the stuff. Because when you're touring and playing shows, sometimes a practice literally is just a practice, whereas in the beginning of starting the band, it seemed like we just had so much more time to experiment and, like, jam and work on new songs, and now that, like, we all live in different spots, it's been a lot harder to be like, "Hey, I have a new idea, like, let's learn it tonight," but yeah, it's been hard.
What do you think people are going to take away from this album, or what do you want people to take away from this album when it finally gets released?
I hope that I hope people like it. I hope that, people see an evolution in, songwriting and, uh, maybe a relinquishment of hopelessness that we've all felt, um, maybe a cathartic release,
Ooh,
um, yeah, I don't know.
the cathartic release, poetic. You ever thought about writing poetry? I mean, it's just a little side thing. Maybe you should.
I'll try it sometime.
Yeah, just give it, just see what happens. I mean, I'll put it in a box if you don't like it. Revisit it later. I don't know. That's
Okay,
just yeah. That's
perfect.
just an idea. Ariel, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I'm so glad that we were able to to get this done. And I'm so glad I caught you in the wild because it's
Yeah.
rare that I catch people in the wild. That night I saw a lot of people and I was really stoked on that. But and I'm glad that you were one of them that I saw. So
Yeah,
thank you for
thanks
being
so
around.
much. Yeah, thanks
Um
for coming through.
before I let you go here, we got some promo to do. So
Ok
Pearl Earl's music streaming everywhere, wherever you get your music. That's where you could find it. You can support the band directly through buying their music through the Bandcamp at pearlearl.bandcamp.com or through their website at pearlearl.com. And people can stay up to date with shows as well by going to pearlearl.com. That's updated regularly, right?
Mhm.
Good deal. And by following them on Instagram at Pearl Earl Music on Instagram. No underscores, no nothing. That's where you could find out what's going on
Yep.
with tours and shows and news. All that good stuff is there. And there's a couple of singles out right now coming out, right?
Mhm.
There's two or three.
There's 3 out, and then we're gonna release 1 more, and then the full record is out on June 22nd.
Great. So that this will probably be out around that time. So go
Oh,
check it
cool.
out. If it's out now, go check it out. Go buy it. Go stream it. Who's is it self independently released or no? It's through
Uh,
Greenwich, right?
yep, Greenwich.
Greenwich record. And if that is out, that'll be linked below. What else, Ariel?
We're gonna be touring all summer and come catch us.
On the boat or on the van or a little bit of both?
M Maybe we'll work out a little Mississippi, ferry tour.
That's I
Because we
mean,
are going up the Mississippi. We're going straight up the Mississippi.
there you go. Ariel, you're awesome. Is there anything else we got to promote before we go here?
No, I
Okay.
think we are golden.
Well, you're awesome, and thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.